Hello and welcome to a brand new Clone Plays video. My name of course is Clone Plays, and today is the first of hopefully many videos like it. This is going to be the start of a new series where I would hope weekly, but we'll see. A weekly series of me showcasing the different work in progress mocks and mods that I have in the works. Today I have 5. Technically I have 6, but the 6th thing is too big, so I'll save that for a different time. But today I got 5 different mocks. Yeah, all of them are, I would consider all of these mocks, except maybe that one. I'll let you guys decide. As you can tell, 3 of them are TIE fighters, 2 of them are CIS related things. I also included a couple minifigures to kind of specify where I think they belong. Except I don't have a classic style first order pilot. That is the only exception for the minifigures. So let's start with the mock that I have in question. This is the second most recent that I designed. Oh, my camera's... I need to move this to be more in center. I'll leave the other stuff in the background. If the stuff in the background's kind of messes up how the mock looks, in future videos I will move all the stuff out of the way. But yeah, so this is one of the experimental ties developed by a... Oh, was he a warlord or an admiral? I also don't remember his name at the moment. But I believe this is experimental M4? It's also nicknamed the TIE Booster. And if I get a better angle on it, as you can tell, it's essentially a standard TIE, but with a massive booster attached to the back of it. And that's about it. In lore, it's supposedly a lot faster, but it has a harder time maneuvering. So I assume that means taking turns is a lot harder now. If I remember my information correctly on it. And that's pretty much it. So this just uses my modified 2001-2005 hybrid tie, and I just added the thing on the back. So there's not too much different going on about that except for the actual booster part. I guess let's go like this, because I kind of want to save the one in the middle for the end. So this one, I've shown it off briefly, I think, in the update video that I did for the channel. This part's having a hard time staying connected. But this is my TCW, the Clone Wars snail tank. It's specifically the one from the movie and also the episode where they're on Malastare, because that's the only time this shows up. Because later on in the series, the designers updated the design of this to be more like the movie one. I think it's pretty good. The biggest issue I have with it is just the fact that the side treads, I kind of gave up on them and just kind of half built something just so there was something there. The other major issues I think I also mentioned in my update video that this suffers from is just the connection points on the inside to make sure that everything's strong. Another issue is these guns don't like to stay in their correct position, but that's fine. I do have a mock, I guess I'll call it, that kind of just showcases the snail tank. At some point I'll get around to finally, I don't know if I'll make a video out of it or just take a bunch of pictures. Let me know in the comments below, would you rather see the mock I've built for the snail tank as a video or as a series of pictures? Let me know. Alright, next work in progress. This one's actually the closest. Yeah. Besides the first tie I showed off, this one is the closest to being ready to be released. This is my version of the... Man, that's kind of hard to see. Ooh, and I bumped the camera. Let me tilt the camera down. Make that a little bit easier to hopefully see the details on this thing. This is my version of the... called the TIE Swimmer? Is that what it is? No, it's called the TIE Subfighter. There we go. I had to remember the name. On Wikipedia, there is no image of this thing. I believe it's only sourced and its only appearance is in a book. So no pictures. So I decided, because I really liked the design of it, I was heavily inspired by TJ the Brick White Wright's TIE, what did he call it? It's like Underwater TIE Fighter on his channel. Go check out his channel. I'll put a link to that specific video in the description box below. But you should probably be able to see how inspired I was by his. As soon as I saw that he released it, which I think it's been a year since he released a video on it, I've always liked the way it looked. So I decided to take the approach of what would his underwater TIE fighter look like if Lego had built it back in the classic era of Star Wars sets. As you can tell, probably on a few of the other models too, a lot of the colors are not the right ones. Obviously, I would not use green on this. But since these are just prototypes, I'm mainly just testing for structural integrity to make sure that everything would actually work physically. Color-wise, it would have been nice to have the parts in the right colors, but I kind of already used them for the Special Forces tie in the back. I also built this guy. He's a sea trooper. Specifically the one that looks more like a scout trooper. Apparently I had enough parts to actually make a decent looking one too. So, my headcanon is these guys would use these TIE subfighters in addition to the AT-AT swimmer and the... Oh, there is another TIE fighter that's also considered a aquatic vehicle. I also designed that one too. Now I can't remember what that one's called though. Yeah, sea troopers, I assume they would use that one, and also the AT-AT swimmer, because why not? Why they're having to use a bunch of the aquatic stuff, who knows? There's not that many aquatic planets in Star Wars. But I really like this. I consider this to be a TIE Bomber hybrid, just because it uses the Lego TIE Bomber pod for the cockpit piece. So it opens up and functions exactly as you would think the 2003 TIE Bomber piece would, except for obviously I removed the bombing feature from this one, and instead there's just kind of like a cargo hold in there, so just more space. Unfortunately, because of the way I designed this, these blades do not actually turn. I think right now, if I don't make any significant modifications to how everything's attached, the only way to get them to spin is just to change this axle to be a lightsaber blade piece, which I think would work, because honestly the only reason it's an axle is kind of just to hold the piece behind it together, although this piece is not really connected to anything either. So yeah, but so far this is actually my this is my favorite aquatic vehicle so far that I've designed. The other TIE fighter, aquatic TIE fighter design it's accurate to the description given on Wikipedia. I just don't think it looks great. Yeah. Next up is my version of the TCW AAT. Hopefully I can get it to actually get in camera. This is the least structurally integrated. That's not a word. This is the least structured one I've got so far. That's what I'll say. Because a lot of it is just I stared at a bunch of images of what the tank looked like in the show, and then just built it without building it digitally first. So a lot of the connection points for like the are these the engines? The engines and like the part that connects the top to the bottom half, they're not that strong. But I think it's pretty good. At some point I think I also made it so the cannons can either be straight out or at an angle, because some of the images and some of the shots in the show are a little inconsistent in my opinion for that. This also uses a slightly modified 2020 AAT head for the main gun. So unfortunately that means a droid really can't fit in there, at least if I have a backpack, which I do have. This guy have a backpack, because they do in the show. But I think it actually works pretty well. I also modified the 2009 head as well, and that one also works pretty good with this model. It also has the feature to actually put troops inside. You can fit, I think, 2, because at least in the show, when Yoda is going ham on all of these on the first episode in season 1, At most, I think you only see 2 battle droids run out of 1. So, I think the lore says they're supposed to have more, but at least in the show, I only ever saw 2 at most. So, but that's that. I'm really happy with it, but yeah, this is the one that needs the most amount of work. Of all my current work in progress, that I at least have a physical build of, that one needs the most love. And so the last one I've got is actually not exactly what it's supposed to be. So there is a comic book, I believe it's called Star Wars Adventures, from 2017, because there's actually a couple of comic book series called Star Wars Adventures. Specifically, and also let me adjust the camera up. Specifically, it's a 2017 run of that series. There is a couple of panels where the main character from Resistance, the guy in the green jacket, forget his name, has a daydream of him fighting the First Order, and this happens to be one of the TIE fighters in that dream. Now, the big difference I have is, in his dream, it was only a standard TIE with the wings. I don't have the standard First Order TIE cockpit built yet, so I'm just using my Special Forces one that I had. You can probably see the wings for my Special Forces in the background there. But yeah, so this has cut out wings, I guess. It's not like a standard TIE. It's not hexagonal. As you can tell, it has a couple of issues just standing up, but that's because it has a feature of, looking at the panels in the comic book, it's hard to tell if the wings are straight, so they're just straight vertical, or if they're slightly bent inward. So I made this one to be able to do kind of both. I kind of prefer the bent in look because it's more unique, although that also makes this more difficult to stand up on its own without a stand. And obviously those are not all at the same angle. It looks really good when they're all adjusted to be at the same angle accordingly. But yeah, so I can't remember if I gave it a name. Oh, I think in the Discord, I asked people for names. Actually, I don't even know if I asked people for names. I just said it was unidentified, and I think I named it... Oh wait, no, never mind. That was for a different TIE fighter, but I could use a name. So leave in the comments if you have a cool name for this TIE fighter. Maybe have it go in the same theme of like the Whisperer, and the Silencer, right? That's the name of those TIEs. So if you have another name that kind of fits in that description, that'd be pretty cool. But I think that concludes pretty much all the work in progress ones I have to show. The rest that I have, which is like 30, are all digital, so I can't show those off really. But my current favorite, at least out of this lot, is, at least for the ties, is definitely this. I really like this the most. It has the most unique design so far, especially because I don't have to use these special pieces I've been using on all the other ties that apparently I have very limited number of. Otherwise, I'd have a couple more tie work in progress to show. From this side, I think it's a toss-up, but I really do like the Snail Tank, which is actually off camera now. And the AAT, I just need to do a lot more work with the AAT. So I think the Snail Tank wins in that regard. I also really like that I was able to put together the Sea Trooper guy. just uses the old Scout Trooper, a scuba tank, harpoon gun, and some flippers. And there you go. Got classic style Sea Trooper. Technically, I should have also made one using a normal Stormtrooper, because there's a couple of comics that also just use that, but I like this look more. I think Thrawn's Revenge, my buddy brought up that he liked this one the most, so I went and looked, and I was like, yeah, I agree. This one's a lot better. Gives the Scout Trooper mold a lot more use. But yeah, thank you for watching. This has been Clone Plays. Remember, every clone has its roots in the original. I hope you enjoyed these work in progress. At some point, I hope to not have them be work in progress, but full-fledged things. So feel free, make sure to check out my Rebrickable. I post there every once in a while with new instruction for new designs. Again, thank you for watching. Hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.